Welcome everyone to another episode. It sounds interesting because I'm just amazed how the support we've gotten. So thanks also everyone listening. But welcome to Q&A with Sharon's son George, the podcast. I was my mother's caregiver after she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. She passed unfortunately on 1/1/2020. We started together for Sharon.com in her memory. Today, I always say this, but I have to stop it. I mean, it literally mean it. Somebody just inspiring to me. I consider her family. I don't know if she considers me family yet, but I really think about her a lot because I'm so excited to introduce Kristine Meldrum. And the reason is because of this, and because she's amazing. But this is one of the bigger books, which we'll discuss about why it's bigger. It's soft cover, and I love it. And the most fascinating part is the knowledge that you can gain. But also, I wish, I had it when my mother was struggling because I wasn't sure where to turn. And it's also pictures because I'm a very visual person. When I did my dissertation PhD, it was a 320-page book almost with no pictures, and I don't think I would want to read that again. So welcome, Kristine, and really it's such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here. And we kind of are family because my mother's name was Sharon too.
Well, thanks. And I love to her too.
Thank you.
Well, I just want to get right into it. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself. What kind of journey inspired you to write a book? Because as you know, you're the expert, but a lot of individuals, I had books on other topics, but I wrote a book, kept a journal during my mother's last year just because I felt alone. It took me 4 years and still not out yet, maybe next month in April for Parkinson's Awareness Month. But I thought there's no better person to discuss your book with because we're heading into April, Parkinson's Awareness Month. So I'm looking forward to become even more aware myself. So maybe you could just take us a little bit about your book, the format, and a little bit too about you.
So for me, I've been an exercise professional. I've really been a champion of people working with people for exercise and for the past 15 years. And I personally was influenced by my cycling guru, who my coach, and he had a Parkinson cycling class. And I had my class right before his, and I would stay after and help him fit people into their bikes. It takes a little while to get someone set up into their bike correctly when they have Parkinson's. And so I would stay after, and I literally just liked talking to all these people with Parkinson's. And I found them courageous. I found them brave. And I found them just a wonderful group of people that I just truly enjoyed talking to. And the biggest thing for me was that it was a big contrast to my own mother. My mother had strokes. And after her third stroke, she went blind. And she literally went into a room and she never came out until she died. And she didn't have the will or the desire to brave out into the world again. And so when I saw all these people with Parkinson's fighting, just literally fighting day in and day out and coming to their exercise classes, and I just wanted to be a part of it. And so when my coach, he decided that he had to leave the program, and the program was going to go away, and I just couldn't let that happen. And so my trajectory for my professional exercise education path changed. I decided that right there and then that this was going to be the road that I was going to take. And so from then on, I got all my 8 different certifications for Parkinson's and the various courseworks that I have. And that became my focus for the next 10 years, and working with people with Parkinson's. And it has been a journey that I have absolutely loved. Every day I work with people, and I am truly amazed by the resilience and the life-changing results that I have witnessed. And that journey, if you had told me when I was fitting people into bikes with Parkinson's that 10 years later I was going to write a book about it, I probably wouldn't have believed you.
Mhm.
But that's just kind of how life is. You never know where a journey is going to take you. And that certainly is where mine took me. And I feel very blessed and honored to have taken that journey with the people that I've had the privilege to work with.
That's amazing. Sorry you had to go through the struggle with your mother. We send our love
Mm.
for that. Obviously, I want every disease and every issue to be resolved with a cure, but it's like we have a similar story. I never dreamt I'd be hosting a podcast or even
Yeah, right.
author of a book. But one thing before we keep going is I enjoyed a lot of the topics. Actually, I was certified personal trainer in my younger days, even though I'm still somewhat young. But a lot of we'll talk about the reasoning for why it's more of the soft cover, but exercise is one thing that can help you take back control. History of exercise of the treatment, the cocktail plans. Again, there's so many amazing things. Plus, you actually give specific directions and pictures of how to do a lot of these, which is something
Mhm.
that when I was studying for my exercise science areas of testing as a trainer, I love the
Mhm.
pictures. So even today, I put one of those giant poster boards that shows little teeny pictures because we're visual individuals.
Yeah.
We like to see that. But I know Dr. Oken, who actually I met Mr. Fixel the other day, which was an honor.
Mhm.
Charge or the individual of the University of Florida is named after the Neurological Center. But Dr. Oken is one of the leading researchers in Parkinson's disease in the world. And he tweeted out the cocktail and told everyone to uh, have fun creating a name for your exercise cocktail. So maybe before we jump to that, you can also talk a little bit about the book and again, why you feel
Mhm.
that you needed, the soft cover.
So the book, so I had the pleasure and honor of writing the book with Jay Alberts from the Cleveland Clinic and also Professor Daniel Corcos at Northwestern University. And then, of course, Bastiaan Bloem out of the Netherlands wrote the foreword of the book. And the book, I chose to write the book in a nice big 8.5 by 11 with pictures of all the people. There's over 20 stories in the book, and I have lots of photos of all the people that had life-changing results in that I interviewed in the book. That 10 of the stories are from people that I have worked with over the years. And then the book itself, I started with looking at all the scientists and the science that has been, we've had decades of science and that has validated exercise as a genuine therapy for Parkinson's exercise. And yet, this is probably one of the first books that really takes that science and really lays out it in a nice, cohesive manner and a very easy to understand way what um, what that science is, how it how what they call the exercise prescription, and how that can be translated into the methods and protocols for people with Parkinson's. And then the second thing I wanted to do, the second part, is the how. Because the biggest thing missing out of the language or all of these discussions and articles and things that we hear about exercise for Parkinson's, the word how has been missing. Because there is a certain way you have to exercise to reduce Parkinson's symptoms. And yet you'll hear, oh, just go exercise, just go exercise. But that isn't true. There is certain things you have to do. There are certain percentages of your heart rate you have to be at. There's certain speeds on the bike you have to hit in order to reduce your symptoms for Parkinson's. So it isn't quite true that you can just exercise. Yes, if you exercise, it's going to improve your heart rate. It's going to improve your risk for disease. It's going to do things like that. but it's not going to help your Parkinson's unless you follow these methods and protocols that are written about in the book. So when people say, how is this book different? That's how it's different. It actually tells you how you have to exercise to reduce symptoms based on science. And then the other thing is that I kind of put together, it's a fun little thing that I do with my clients. It's the exercise cocktail. And I'd have to tell you, I have had such a response to this exercise cocktail. People love this cocktail. And it's really about, I always ask my people, what's your favorite drink? And they tell me what their favorite drink is. And I'm going to take you through designing a cocktail.
Mine's
And then,
mine's usually virgin pina colada. I don't drink.
oh, okay, so virgin pina colada. And then we kind of come up with a fun tagline, like, how can we make this your like battle cry against Parkinson's? Like so one lady, one of my guys was Margarita. So his became the Margarita Fight Back Plan. That was his, I'm going to fight back, my Margarita Fight Back Plan. So we kind of have fun coming up with each person's. We'll have to come up with your pina colada. I'll have to think about that one. But it's, a cocktail is, their cocktail kind of takes their different ingredients, different exercise ingredients, and also their looks at their different abilities, their preferences for what they want to work out. And like a cocktail, it makes them feel better. So that's kind of where the cocktail comes from. And then it's a plan that's going to change with them as their Parkinson's changes over time. So that's kind of the whole cocktail concept. It's a fun thing. It's something that they can do with their exercise professional or their physical therapist, and it's something that they're part of in creating. And then the third part of the book is these stories and case studies. So we've broken down the science proven therapies, and that's cycling, treadmill training, and strength training. And those have been, those are the three things that Dr. Bloem, Dr. Corcos, and Dr. Alberts, all the research has, and plenty of other scientists out there these are proven therapies, right? And they have the time and the what do I want to say, the amount of time has been determined, the amount of how often, all the variables have been defined by research. And so those chapters are in the book for each of those three types of exercise. And then I interviewed case studies of people who have used those therapies across the country. And I think there's 2 case studies per each chapter on those books in the book. And they're phenomenal. They're phenomenal stories. In fact, you might think for running or treadmill training, you might think, oh, that would have to be someone who's a stage 1 person running, right? But I've got a man in there who's 78 years old. He's had Parkinson's for 50 years. 50 years. When I interviewed him, he was 78 years old, and he had just run the half marathon, the LA half marathon. He has run the LA marathon 16 times. I mean, that just blows my mind.
I can't even do that.
Right? But I mean, it's hard to believe he's had Parkinson's for 50 years, and he's still running marathons at 78. I mean, it's incredible. And there's all kinds of stories that are all over the gamut, from people who work with their neurologists to keep their medications low so that they don't have to have side effects. I mean, there's all kinds of stories where people are doing different things with their exercise for different reasons. And I like it that everybody can find different ages, different reasons for how they got into exercise and what it's done for them. And that the resources, the book is also a nice resource. There's like lists of different programs that they can go back to. And so it's a multi functional book.
Yeah, it's amazing how research is also advancing in the area of exercise. I believe I read somewhere you should do 45 minutes a day, even if you do not have or not diagnosed with Parkinson's, even for caregivers to keep your mental sanity. I didn't follow that with my mother because, again, I always wanted to make sure I didn't regret anything, and I would have been there even 24/7 if I could. But exercise really is, part of what living, keeping life going. Again, the problem with Parkinson's is everyone's so different. At the point my mother was about, 1996, she had the machines, these, and
Mhm.
but at the last year, unfortunately, she had to go into even long-term hospice, and they don't believe in physical therapy. And the only thing a person has when they're fighting a disease like Parkinson's is hope. And once they take that away, it was really kind of tough, and that's when we kind of went a little bit on a decline. So just tough because there's so many amazing things out there, but we didn't have an opportunity. And she was kind of too much further gone for that. But that's why you need to have this diagnosed, early. You have to get Kristine's book early. You have to take the tips and do the actual exercises early because that's the most important, I think, significant key.
Right. And they say that, if you really need to start exercising at, to really be able to hopefully, stop the progression of disease at you want to start as soon as possible.
And I'm a PhD, but not a medical doctor, and I don't play one on TV. So
Yeah.
I always say we're just the experts here on awareness, but if you do,
Right.
please contact your, physician,
Yeah.
usually a specialist in motor area. Uh,
Yep.
maybe
Absolutely.
I believe you, since we touched on the exercise cocktail, I believe you have some images you might want to share, so we can
Yep.
all. So, thank you.
Okay. So are you going to share screen or am I?
Are you able? Let me see. I think you should be able to. Are you able to do it?
I can. Hold on. Share.
Got it. That's perfect.
Okay.
And we get to see the dogs, which I'll talk about later.
Oh, I know. There's my doggies. So I'll show you real quick. There's these are just some of the people from the book.
I was lucky enough to interview the individuals who started Rock Steady, the CEO.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Ryan.
I see
Oh, or what is it?
Sharon, I believe. Cotton, Mr. Cotton.
Scott Newman.
Yeah, and I see Team Fox is also represented here, which
Oh
is
yeah, yeah, yep. So this is just kind of a collage of the different people in the story. Like I said, they're all ages, all different groups of people, and it's really great. But this first, I'm going to talk to you about before that. This is probably one of the biggest questions I get is how the brain rewires for change. And this is a really kind of simple graphic. And this is what happens. You're going to an exercise class. So you go to a rock steady boxing class, you go to a cycle class or a treadmill class. And what happens is your muscles start to contract. And then an amazing thing happens. This hormone, which is called the exercise hormone, releases, and it's called irisin. And when that happens, you've probably heard some people talk about BDNF or brain derived neurotrophic factor. So that stimulates the irisin, the exercise hormone is what stimulates BDNF, brain derived neurotrophic factor in the brain. And the really wonderful thing about brain derived neurotrophic factor is that it helps protect our neurons in our brain. And when that happens, it is what creates neuroprotection and neuron survival. It also is what happens in the brain, is what's happening to help with our memory and our relearning. So this is kind of a really nice way of showing how exercise is creating these wonderful things in our brain while we work out. And then people ask, well, what are specifically our positive effects of exercise on our brain? And it improves our mood and our sleep. And that these things help everybody across the board. It releases or reduces our stress and anxiety. It reduces insulin. So insulin is responsible for causing bradykinesia and what do I want to say? Bradykinesia, rigidity, tremor, all those things in the body for Parkinson's. And then inflammation, exercise helps reduce inflammation. And inflammation is what is part of what helps with the progression of Parkinson's. So exercise helps reduce that. So all these things are really important. And one of the reasons why exercise on the human brain is so important. Now, it also does stimulates and releases growth factor, new blood vessels. These are all really important things. And I have this is all in my in one of the chapters of the book where I explain in more in-depth information on why this is important. The neuroplasticity, which I talked about, which improves your memory and your learning. And I always say that, so Parkinson's is a taking disease. It likes to take our things away from us, but exercise can help bring these things back. And in particular, neuroplasticity enables us, because it enables us to relearn things. We can relearn things that Parkinson's takes away. So for instance, if it takes away our arm swing, we like to practice bringing that arm swing back after we've done exercise, aerobic exercise. That's when you can relearn something. Oh, and now we're at the cocktail. So does that make sense on the?
This is the part everybody's been waiting. If I had a drum roll machine, which I'm
Drum
trying.
roll, the PD cocktail exercise. All right, so now, so all those wonderful things are happening. And then we say to a person, so each person is individual. And this is why everybody needs an individual cocktail plan, because your Parkinson's is it's custom, right? So you need a custom plan. And so I'll sit down, or you will sit down with someone, and you will figure out what you need. There are I add 5 things to your plan. The first, I'm gonna show you Kay's cocktail exercise plan. All right. And like I said, we create a tagline, and her favorite drink is a screwdriver. And I love her tagline because it's screw you, Parkinson's. And people get very creative with their, battle cries. And
sounds like a t-shirt I've seen.
Isn't that really? It's a great one, right?
Yeah.
So, and people like to remember their taglines, like if they're having a bad day, or they need a little, they're riding the bike or something, and they may be struggling. And I might say, hey, what's your tagline? And they'll say what their tagline is, and it helps them kind of like get inspired for the day for their workout. So what are the layers of the cocktail? Well, the first is your aerobic training. All right, so you're gonna do your aerobic training, and we talk about how often, specifically in the book, one needs to have aerobic training. And then you have PD specific work. So is that, do we need to do voice activation work? Do we need to do training for, I was talking about large amplitude walking work. So there's lots of different courses out there for PD specific work, and they are listed. There's a list of resources in the book. And then progressive strength training is number 3. Flexibility and balance. And again, there's lists of these courses and programs that you can choose from. And then I always add 5, and 5 is what you love. So gardening, things like that, things that you love to do. You have to have something, you have to have the top of the cocktail, the cherry or the olive is what you love to do. So I'm going to show you Kay's cocktail. So Kay does cycling and boxing. She cycles twice a week and she boxes once a week. She does a total health works Parkinson's, which is kind of it's a PD specific class. And then she does strength training with me twice a week. Then we do we weave into her boxing class balance and flexibility along with the total Parkinson's class does as well. So you can see that she adds that 2 days a week. So she's doing, and her strength training is twice a week. So she's doing 5 days a week. Now she's been working out for like 3 years, and she gradually worked her way up. She didn't start at 5 days a week. She started at 2 days a week and slowly over time worked her way up. Now she loves to grow dahlias. In fact, she won the state fair flower competition with her dahlias. So that's what Kay loves to do. She also works for the American Parkinson's Disease Association and does a lot of volunteer work. So that is Kay's cocktail. And that's how one builds one.
I appreciate sharing with us, and that's why I recommend again everyone to purchase Kristine's book, support her, share it. And I wanted to ask a few areas about Kristine, more away from the book for a few moments.
Okay, sure.
Maybe you tell us, first of all, this beautiful picture.
Oh, I forgot to unshare the screen. Oh, all right. So this is, as you can see, I love my family. Don't get me wrong, I do. My husband and my daughter here. My son is in he lives in Seattle, so he's never here for photos. We just took this photo of our 4 dogs. Yes. Can you tell I love Bernese Mountain Dogs?
Yeah.
Just a little.
And you also,
People think I'm a little crazy to have 4 Bernese Mountain Dogs.
we have 2, but they're not the mountain dogs.
So you're only half as crazy as me.
Yeah. We have 2 cats, so we're equally 4.
Oh, well, then you're right up there with me.
As you conclude that area, what is one moment or the most memorable moment that stands out throughout all of your work for awareness that you might be able to share with us? I don't want to put you on the spot. Barbara Walters moment.
Barbara Walters moment. I probably have to say, I think that having the book launch was probably, it was really a culmination of so many years. Everything like came together. It took me a year, and 5 months to write the book, research the book, and it was like 7 days a week. 12 hours a day. It was a long process. And of course it was a culmination of like all of the working with people of 10 years of that. So it really was. And then it was a wonderful celebration in that everyone was there, that I had worked with for all those years to celebrate that moment, and everyone was so happy. And to me, like the most amazing moment was to see these huge smiles on people holding my book, and they were so excited to actually have something to help them, and to have people say, I'm so hopeful. This is giving me hope. That was like amazing.
Thank you for that. And that's what also inspires me, and why you inspire me to keep fighting, because of the smiles. I just was lucky enough to meet many of the community members in South Florida at the Michael J. Fox Foundation IQ event. And I was not just share my mother's memory, but the individuals came up and some were struggling, some were caregivers, and we all, when I explained them, just there to advocate for them. Some of them cried and hugged me, and it was just that's what next day I was might have been tired from standing from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Even
Yeah.
I myself have back issues, but after that you forget all that and you just keep fighting. So I appreciate again all you do. Was there actually this one I have we call it the lightning round. We have two podcasts. One is with my wife, but she only does it Saturday because we have three children.
Uh-huh.
We're in the Q&A with Sharon and George, but I have something called a lightning round where I just
Okay.
have a few questions. So let's see. How do you think we could better promote Parkinson's awareness, because next month is Parkinson's Awareness Month?
Well, my thing is that I wish we could get more national attention. Um, I wish that, we could, Parkinson's could be on the front burner more. I just think that it's such a big issue and it should be talked about more, and it's not.
I'm hoping
And on
national.
a national level, on a national level,
Yeah.
to me, it's like when when I talk about in the book about, in 2030, the gray tsunami is coming and we're going to have this many people with Parkinson's. And it is, ah, it is just frightening. And we as a nation are not ready. And yet no one is talking about it. And to me, it's frightening that Parkinson's is now the fastest growing neurological disorder, and no one's talking about it. And I went to Chicago and I tried to get on the networks and I tried everything I could, with a new book on Parkinson's, but couldn't get on. And why is that? And I had some pretty good heavy hitters, but yet it's not it's not on the radar yet.
That's kind of what drives me and my site for some reason. The togetherforSharon.com is really becoming a network of its own. We have like several podcasts now, and I saw a need for it because there isn't enough, and we just have to create it ourselves. And that's why, again, I'm so honored that you would join us today, because
Yeah.
whatever I do, I won't sleep, and we'll make sure this podcast not just
I
remains.
do hope you will take care of yourself though, because I do worry about you. You are a 24-hour seven machine.
Problem is, every time I listen to some amazing people like you, I think of a new idea. So I was one of those Charlie Brown cartoons. You see Boop, like a little, as you're speaking, I'm thinking of something right now. Yeah, next area was, is there something looking back you would have done differently 10 years ago? So, imagine the Kristine talking to her Kristine 10 years earlier. Would there be something you would have done differently? I know I wouldn't have, because there's nothing I could have changed with my mother. We tried everything, but just curious, what
Hmm.
you think on that one?
I don't think so. I think that, I'm kind of one of those people that truly believes that all kind of things fall the way they're supposed to. And everything has led me to where I am today. And I am very grateful that, I stuck it out. Writing a book is really hard. I had no idea how hard it is to write a book. And I'm glad nobody told me. Because I really am glad no one told me. And I'm really glad there were many, many times that I thought I wasn't going to finish. And that's why I wrote about that song. I played that song a lot when I was writing the book, because there was a few times that it got really tough. And I'm super glad that I'd finished. And I'm really glad because the feedback I have gotten has been phenomenal from people. And when I hear people say how grateful they are, and people who come up to me and say, thank you, we're so grateful that you wrote this book. It has helped me. It has helped me. I'm really glad that I stuck it out and wrote it.
I'm grateful you did because we wouldn't have met. So it's just amazing how the doors open and people you meet and new friends and family that you.
Yeah.
This fight is not. I always say to people, even our podcast today, our talk is not going to end here. It's going to be on the
Mhm.
website. I'll share it everywhere. But there's a conversation, that we have to keep continually rehashing and
Yeah.
keep going. You can't just end it, an hour talk. So next one is if you could. Actually, I like this one. People love it. If you were asked to write a script to a movie about your life story, what would you call it? I always put the tough ones for you.
My life story. It,
Mhm.
I love the quote by Winston Churchill about never it's I can't think of it now, but it's about failing. Success is going from one failure to the next. It's about never giving up. And I love that quote. And I'm not sure how to turn that into a
There's no pressure. I'm not, luckily I worked at the prosecutor's office, but we're not on.
but
I don't want you to.
it is never giving up. You can't give up. You have to keep going. And that's what I tell my people with Parkinson's too. We just can't, and it's about the climb. I keep going back to that song. That song is really, it's about the climb, it's about the journey, and you can't give up.
And how about if you could leave the Parkinson's community with something special, like words of encouragement, what would those be? And then I wanted to turn one more moment to the website, and while you're thinking, I'll do that.
Well, I think that it's really about the idea is almost too simple. That exercise, if you do it in the way we talk about in the book, is is something that can help manage your symptoms and kind of put at bay one of the cruelest diseases that we face in mankind. And thousands of research scientists have been for decades um, investigating and validating that exercise is a valid therapy for people with Parkinson's. And that, for me, my mission in life and as my nonprofit, uh, Parkinson's Place Iowa, our mission is to uh, inform people about what exercise can do for you in the state of Iowa. And now it's gone worldwide with this book. And it's all about giving hope. That's what we're all about. We want to give hope to people with Parkinson's that exercise is medicine, exercise gives hope, and that, you know, it's just, we got to move.
I appreciate it. And then I want to thank you again for our interview on togetherforsharon.com. Everybody check it out. It's togetherforsharon.com. And you click on interviews. Unfortunately, my website's getting too big. I can't even find things anymore. And then the last note is very important. Maybe since we're kind of coming towards the end, unfortunately, I probably think we could talk for another several hours because there's just so much to share. And I've also learned so much from you. And I wanted to thank you. Maybe you can also, if anybody's listening, please go to parkinsonsbook.com and I'll give the floor to you if you'd like to discuss this before we wrap up.
Oh, I was really happy today. We were back to being number one bestseller again. We kind of go up and down and up and down, but we're back to being the number one on in the Parkinson's disease category for bestseller. So that was really awesome. And I am just thrilled. I am thrilled to be working with these amazing scientists, and I am just thrilled to be reaching out to everyone out there in the Parkinson's community and helping. That's all I'm happy to be doing. It's my pleasure, and send me emails. People send me emails all the time.
And Kristine's amazing. She responds pretty quickly, and to me at least. Hopefully I felt special. Maybe it's everybody. I
I try.
I really wanted to thank you today. I have a little message I share in every podcast. This goes to you and all the viewers. We love you. We support you. We care a lot about you, and you're never alone. I will advocate alongside, of course, with Kristine, and together our voices are so much stronger. And I always kind of joke in a way that I'm just getting started because every day I meet someone so inspiring like you or those out there fighting this disease, and also the family members like myself, unfortunately, who lost a loved one due to Parkinson's. It kind of re-energizes me to, even though unfortunately sometimes my own health and no sleep, but it just makes me want to keep fighting because I don't want anyone to have to go through what, our family did. And I do want everyone to purchase your book and support you because it's changing lives. It's just incredible what you're doing, and you're an inspiration to me. So just want to thank you again. And this again won't end here. Please share this, everyone listening. We love you and thank you also for your time. And just want to let everyone know this concludes the Q&A with Sharon's son George podcast, but this doesn't conclude what the message is. So again, number one, please visit Kristine's website. You can visit Together for Sharon. It'll directly link to how to contact her, and also just everything you're doing. Keep it up. We're going to have one of these a few years from now, and we'll have the follow-up to your book. My book will be out.
Yeah.
I have a whole book report. So I just want to thank you again for everything.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Thank you again. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you soon.